Hey everyone, welcome back to Quilting with Sandy for part 2 of our red and white quilt. Today I have all the components laid out here for the second block. I have 26 5.5 inch squares of white or background, 26 5.5 inch squares of my red. I have 34 2.5 inch strips of the strip set number 3 that we made last week. I have 34 2.5 by 6.5 pieces, and I have a lot of these, 200 of these? No, whatever. It's 4 times 17. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. Of 2-inch squares. So the first thing we're going to do is take our 5.5 inch squares, and we're going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner in both directions. So I'm just going to use a pencil. You just need a ruler that's long enough. You're just going to match it up to the corners. Draw a line you can see. Turn it. And draw another line in the opposite direction. So you're making a plus, a cross, however you want to look at it. Then you're going to just take one of your reds, one of your whites with your plus on it, your corner to corner diagonals, and we're going to sew a 1/4 inch on each side of that drawn line. And then we're going to turn it and do the other ones. So I'm just going to show you how to do one. I'm going to line my 1/4 inch bar on my foot up against, right on that drawn line. And we're just going to sew all the way down. Sew right off the edge. Pick up my presser foot, turn it, put the bar right back on that same line, but now I'm on the opposite side of it. So now I'm sewing down the other side. Now I'm going to go down the opposite diagonal line on both sides, 1/4 inch. And there you have it. I have a 1/4 inch. On both sides of the drawn line. You can see it better on this side of the block. I'm going to go ahead and do this to all of my 26 squares. This is going to give me 8 half square triangles. So when I get all these sewn up, I'll show you how I cut it and make it into half square triangles. So I made a bunch of these. I cut a couple. I want to show you how I cut them and iron them. These were 5.5 inch squares. So the first, we're going to cut it horizontally and vertically, and then we're going to cut it on the diagonal. So since they were 5.5, that's 2 3/4. So I'm going to line up my 2 3/4 line up and down here. I'm going to trim that there. Then I'm going to turn it and put 2 3/4 on the bottom, which is there. This will go through all the stitches you did in the middle. It'll go right through the plus as well. Then you just need to cut on the line you drew. It's okay if they move now. You really don't want to move it until you get those first 2 cuts made, because now we're just cutting on a drawn line. So if they move, we can always line them up and do them separate. Oops. Oh my gosh. Sorry guys. So I've got 8 half square triangles. So for this to lay out nice and flat, what I decided to do was make 8, press 8 of them going towards the dark. You need 12 for each block. So 8 will go to the dark and 4 will go to the light. I already have 4 ready there. So I'm going to just press these down real quick, set the seams. Then I'm going to fold them back, give them a little finger press, and get these laying out flat. Okay, I'll finish pressing those off camera. I want to show you how to trim these down. These were oversized, so we are going to trim them down now so that we have a nice square block. I'm going to use my Tucker trimmer. I'm going to put the solid circle, if you can see that solid circle, in my upper right hand corner. I'm going to lay my block out like this on the diagonal to the right. I'm going to put the diagonal with the solid circle on the diagonal, on the half square triangle line. And I'm going to make sure I have 2 inches all the way around. I'm going to trim. And I'm just going to rotate the mat. Line it back up again exactly the same way with the solid and the 2 inches. And trim it like that, and that's an exact 2-inch half square triangle. So I'm going to go ahead and keep cutting these up, finish ironing, get all my components for a block, and show you how I put it together. Okay, I have a bunch of pieces ready to go. I'm going to take 4 of them that are pressed to the dark, and I'm going to put them in the center. I'm going to use my picture. Sorry, let me start over. Okay, I've got 12 half square triangles ready to go. 4 are pressed to the light and 8 are pressed to the dark. I'm going to take 4 that are pressed to the dark and I'm going to lay them out. I'm going to follow the picture that I have as a template so that all my pinwheels spin in the same direction. If you set the center part up different, then they'll look like they're spinning in opposite directions. So as per my picture, we've got the first one going white to the right. The second one, white goes down. The third one, the white goes to the left. And I'm going to throw in a different pattern. And the last one, the white goes up. So that will be my pinwheel. So I'm just going to take these 2, match them together, and then I'll take these 2 and match them together and sew down here. These seams will nest down here, so I'm just going to line up the top. Nest those seams, go straight down. Then I'm going to take these 2 over to the sewing machine without twisting them or anything. I'm going to nest the top corner this time, because that's the center of our pinwheel. I'm going to nest those up first. I'm going to sew down to the end, make sure my edges are even. I left them stitched together. And I like to do the one that's on my left. I like to press that down. So I'm going to flip it over, finger press it down. I'm going to take the one that's on my right and finger press it up. So I'm going to have this. I'm going to put them together, match up the corners. take a couple stitches, then I'm going to feel that these half square triangles are nesting with the one below it. And I'm also going to try to get that center as closely matched as possible, but I really like the points to match, so that's kind of what I really worry about. So I'm going to spiral this center, swirl the center. So I'm going to trim that little stitch that's holding them together. I'm going to open it, and like before, I want all my seams to go in the same direction. So this seam's going over that way. I'm going to push this one up and this one down. Give it a little push tug, smush, till I get a little pinwheel in the center. Give it a little smush with my finger. You can see I have a little swirled center, and my center will lay nice and flat on the pinwheel. So we'll give this a little press now. I like to do these from the top. I just go around in a circle, make sure they're going in the direction I want. Then I check that center from the back, give it a good smush from the front. So there's my pinwheel. So now for the sawtooth part of the star legs, or the star legs, however you want to say it, I'm going to use one half square triangle that goes to the red. I'm going to put that on the left. The one that goes to the white I'm going to put on the right, and I'm going to make them look like flying geese in a way. In hindsight, I probably should have done flying geese because it would have reduced my seams. So these are all going to look the same. So I'm just going to stack all four of these up. So all the red ones I'm putting on the left, and all the ones that are pressed to the white I'm going to put on the right. And I'm going to take these over here, and I'm just going to match up white to white. Then these will nest down here in the bottom. I'm going to stitch my 1/4 inch seam down that line. Okay, now these are going to get pressed to the right so that they match up here, so that when I sew these on here, the seams will nest. So all of these I'm going to press to the right side. So I'm just going to lay them on my board all in the same direction, which is, should have looked at it better, huh? They're all going to look like this. Then I'm going to push them over, give it a little smush, press it. Okay, now 2 of these go on our pinwheel on the sides like this. Put it down here so you can see. 2 are going to get sewn on each side of the pinwheel. The other 2 are going to go top and bottom, but they need a 2-inch square attached to the end. So I'm going to take these 2 over and get myself 4 little squares. going to sew these on here. I'm going to take this over, make sure my goose is in the right direction. I'm going to line up the edges, line up this center seam. Then I'm going to sew on the other 2 white squares on the other end. And I'm going to sew the other goose onto my pinwheel. Then I'll give these all a good press. Now, I'm going to press the pinwheel first, and I'm going to actually press the seams going into the pinwheel because flying geese don't like to press towards the point of the goose. So I'm going to lay my goose down on the table, I'm going to roll over the pinwheel, finger press it, and iron it. Then I'm going to flip it over, put the other goose on the table, put the pinwheel on top, roll it, finger press, get my iron on there. As for these geese with the white on the outside, these will go to the solid square on the outside. So now I'm going to take my pinwheel center, my geese units, and put on top and bottom, and sew those together in 3 rows. These seams will nest all the way across. I'll have 3 seams and they're all going to nest. That one on. Now I'm going to put this one on. Same thing, they're all going to nest all the way down there. So I'm going to match up my top corner, take a few stitches, then I'm going to nest this seam, go to the middle, nest the middle, third one, nest that one, and then right to the end. Now this too I'm going to press towards the center block. So I'm just going to give it a good press. Leave the pinwheels part on top. Roll this over. Give it a little finger press. Make sure the seams are going the way I want them to go, and then it's laying pretty flat. Get the iron on there. And I'm going to spin it. Put the pinwheel on top, roll into the pinwheel, push these seams down, make sure they're going the way I want them to. Press that all down. I'm just going to flip it over and make sure everything's going the way I want. It is a little bit bulky seams. That's part of the reason why I was thinking I probably should have made these actual flying geese units. If you like to press open, this would probably be a good time to press open. Now, for the next part, we need 2.5 by 6.5 inch rectangles. We're going to sew those on both sides. Then we need 2 strip 3 sections, and they're going to go across the top and the bottom, and that's going to be our block. So let's get it sewn on here. I'm going to put my piecework on top so that I can see all those points and all those seams. I'm going to stitch both of these on the sides, and then I'll finish the top and bottom. So I'm going to sew the white on the other side, or the background, whatever color your background is. So now I'm going to press these out. Just to get away from all of that bulkiness. I'm just going to roll these out. And now I'm going to sew the top and bottom on. Before I do that though, I just realized I wish I had pressed these the opposite direction. So I think what I'm going to do, because these will still nest up with those other blocks, I think what I'm going to do is put this on here, and I'm actually going to force the seam down and do a snip so that it's going one way and then the other way. I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to start my seam. I'm going to roll this 6.5 inch piece back towards itself so that I can nest this corner. Oh shoot, I wanted to do this upside down. Oh well. I'm just going to make sure my seams don't flip down here. They're all going. Nope. And then down here at the bottom, I'm going to flip this seam towards the 6.5 inch piece like I did on the top. So let me show you. I had originally pressed these to the red, but I want them to the white. So what I'm going to do is take my scissor and snip right there. Right by that seam, but not cutting through the seam on both ends. Then it'll lay to the center there, and it'll lay to the outside here, because that's how it's going to match up with the other block. And then these can press out. Okay, let's get the other one on. Same way. Match up that corner. Oh, you know what? I'm going to flip it this way this time. I'm going to match up the corner this way. Take a couple stitches. Then I'm going to flip this bottom seam down on the red. Match those up. Stitch to there. Then I'm going to make sure these are laying the way I want them to go. Again, I'm going to flip this red one to go towards the 6.5. You don't have to do this. You can butt them up against each other. I'm just a futz. You don't have to be. I'm going to snip right here, making sure I don't catch my stitches. So then the little bit where it's sewn goes towards the white, and the rest of it goes to the red. And then I'm going to roll this over, finger press it. There you have it. That's block number 2. I think it's stinking cute. I really like it. Block number 2. So I only have 16 more of these to make. I'm going to get them all done. Meet you back here and we'll put them up on the wall so you can see what it's going to look like, and maybe we'll even start sewing our rows together. But I'm pretty sure this might take me a little longer than the other blocks. So I don't know if I'll have time to do it all today, but hopefully. I got all the star blocks completed, put them up on the wall. I actually took down 2 rows after I got it up here because I was messing with the border. Well, let's talk about the star blocks. They went together a lot faster than I thought they were going to. Once I got assembly line sewing, and I made all the blocks at the same time, basically. You know, make all your pinwheels, make all your geese units, sew your rows together, throw these on every single one, then throw the tops and bottoms on every single one. It went a lot faster than I thought. I thought I was going to be here for like 2 days, but not really. And it's only 17 blocks, so it went really fast. I laid it out here to take a look. I thought it would be fun to actually, for you guys to see it before it goes together. I took the 2 bottom rows off because I was messing with the border. We're going to put this one strip all the way around, kind of like a breaker. It's a 2.5 inch strip. And then I had purchased this red bouquet, if you guys remember from when we opened. And this was my plan to use as a border. But now that I lay it up here, I'm not convinced I really want that. Considering these are all such tiny prints and almost read solid, I'm going to go with the pinwheel that I had purchased from the same line. And I think it'll just set it off just right. Plus it's called a pinwheel, and we have pinwheels, so that's cool. So I'm going to go ahead and sew my rows together. Every even row is the same and every odd row is the same. So I'm going to pull down all the odd rows, sew them all together. Then I'm going to pull down all the even rows and sew them all together, and then I'll put the rows together. I am going to press everything towards the star block so they'll nest when I get done, and I'll be able to put them together. And then I'll throw my borders on, get it on the rack, and get it all quilted up. So hang in there if you want to see what it looks like. OMG, you guys. I love the way this quilt came out. I got the top all completed. I ended up with this is cut 4.5 inch border. I needed 8 strips. I had written down that we needed 7 to complete this. Mine were, my selvage to selvage was a little short, and then when I put the bias edge on it to connect them, I needed 8. So don't cut your stuff until you measure. These rows went together super easy, and I was thinking this was an intermediate quilt. I think a seasoned beginner, someone who's sewed a little bit, could definitely do this. You only have to match up a few spaces here where the blocks connect, but they go together so easy. You can't mess up. You can't spin them. You can't have the wrong thing in the wrong corner. Going with all solids or almost all solids makes it super easy. I put those rows together in like 2 minutes. It was like so fast. I put a 2.5 inch first border on, and then I have a 4.5 inch piece here, which will finish at 4 for my outer border, and it's actually perfect. It's the perfect size for this quilt, I think. I'm really, really happy. Not sure if you could tell, I'm like jumping up and down. So I wanted to show you what it looked like before I get it all put together. I still got to work out what I'm going to put on the back. I haven't decided yet. You know me, I just wing it. So I'm going to come up with some kind of backing for this and get it quilted and bound, and I'll show you when I'm done. I got the red and white quilt all done. I'm super happy with the way this turned out. You guys should give it a try. I'm going to call it Irish Stars. As for the back, I took all my leftovers, put them together, made a really cool backing, and that red bouquet, she made it to the quilt after all. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Bye.